Chariot Victory Parade gets ready to hit the road. Johnny Wilkinson and England's rugby heroes join thousands of fans to celebrate victory. Credit card crackdown, ministers prepare the biggest shake-up in 30 years. And guilty, Greek terrorists are jailed for the murder of a British diplomat.
Also in this hour, we'll be live in central London for the World Cup Victory Parade. We'll be with the fans on the route from Marble Arch to Trafalgar Square and Buckingham Palace. And should she have gone to the gallows? The Court of Appeal rules on Ruth Ellis this morning. Good morning and welcome. England's world champion rugby players will find themselves in the biggest scrum of their lives today, when at least 500,000 fans are expected to turn out for a victory parade. London's West End will shudder to a halt when the World Cup heroes show off the William Webb Ellis. Now let's check on the headlines. Just gone 15:15. England's rugby stars are preparing for their victory parade in London. We'll be there, along with an estimated 500,000 fans for the big moment.
Reforms to crack down on dodgy lenders and loan sharks are being announced today.
The leader of the Greek November 17 terrorist group has been found guilty of murdering a British diplomat.
And in sport, while the England rugby team get ready to celebrate, there's good news for the cricket team as well. Nasser Hussain is fit again. He and Ashley Giles are expected to play in the second test against Sri Lanka, which starts on Wednesday. Watch out, batsman, the master of spin, Shane Warne, could be back in action near you as the Australian selectors look to bring him back in March. And the former Wales coach Graham Henry's in contention for the New Zealand post. He goes head-to-head with the coach John Mitchell. Those are the sporting headlines. We'll have more in just under 40 minutes. See you now.
Chris, see you then. Thanks very much indeed. Now, the Court of Appeal is due to decide whether to overturn the murder conviction of Ruth Ellis, the last woman to be hanged in Britain. She was sentenced to death in 1955. And later on this morning, we'll be hearing personal stories from people affected all around the country by the issue of drink driving. So stay with us for that.
Russian voters have given a clear mandate to President Putin to press ahead with his market-oriented reforms. With more than 90% of the votes counted, 4 parties will dominate the next parliament. The United Russia Party, which supports President Putin, will have a clear majority.
The Chinese Prime Minister has arrived in the United States for the start of a 4-day trip. Wen Jiabao has visited the UN headquarters in New York, where he held talks with the Security General Kofi Annan. One of the main aims of the visit is to lobby President Bush to stop what Beijing says is a push by Taiwan's leaders towards independence.
The leaders of Germany and Italy have said there's a strong possibility that this week's European Union summit to decide on what would be the EU's first ever constitution could end in failure. Speaking after a meeting in Berlin, the German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder and the Italian leader Silvio Berlusconi said they were not ready to compromise on the key issue of voting rights for EU member states.
Now we're going to take a quick scoot through the front pages of Monday morning's newspapers. The Guardian to kick off with. Mugabe quits Commonwealth across the top. There's also a story here about migrants facing a £500 charge.
Good morning if you've just joined us, and welcome to BBC News 24. It's expected that up to 500,000 rugby fans will line the streets of London to celebrate England's World Cup victory. Clive Woodward and his victorious team will parade.
That's our top news stories at 25 to 10. And just to let you know that there are up-to-minute news, sport and weather headlines on our interactive news service, BBC I. Just press the red button on your handset. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you. We'll have sport for you here on BBC News 24 in about 20 minutes, much more on the rugby. But first, let's get a comprehensive roundup of the international news from David Eades, who's in the BBC World Newsroom. Good morning, David.
Phil, thanks very much indeed. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. The President of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, has pulled his country out of the Commonwealth. He said he didn't accept the organisation's decision to extend Zimbabwe's suspension. Members of the Commonwealth renewed that suspension on Sunday. That's James Kumrasamy in Moscow. The time now is 9:47. Let's give you a reminder of the international headlines. President Robert Mugabe says Zimbabwe is pulling out of the Commonwealth. Greek court delivers verdicts on 19 alleged members of the radical left-wing group November 17. And in Russia's elections, a clear majority for the party backing President Putin. Palestinian factions meeting in Cairo have failed to agree on a comprehensive ceasefire offer to make to Israel. On Sunday, the fourth day of the talks, officials... Well, that's all from BBC World. Now back to News 24 and the latest sport. Maybe a little bit of rugby in there somewhere with Chris Hollins?
Yes, David, there might be a suggestion of it. Yes, the England rugby heroes will be paraded in front of their adoring fans this morning.